we're given the once over of the town. Basically, that is going to allow you to find essential things. If you're telling me you want food or a place to rest or the general supply store, the stables, great. If you're telling me you want a jeweler specializing in silver filigree, not so much. But you know where the basic 8 or 10 things are. You know where to get a hunk of cheese and a crust of bread and maybe buy a pair of boots if need be. Just by going through the main things. Church of Jonathan, in your case there, Jaith, and whatnot. Um, you're shown to, as I mentioned at the end of the last game, you were shown to an inn that was better than what Kavlon had previously. Because apparently the reputation of, as Moggets put it, the mighty and powerful Jaith, priest of Jonath, and swooner of women, has traveled ahead of you. And our little friend there, what was his name? Anybody? Anybody?
Pepe?
Did you say?
Oh.
Did you...
I said Pepe.
No,
nope, apparently not write that down.
No, that's not surprising. But don't worry, you're not caught in a back alley where, you know, you have to shout out his name to save your life or anything. I mean, not yet.
No, if you're caught in a back alley, you always shout out, Maurice!
No, I don't, and you don't have video to prove it either.
No, but I do have audio.
You can't prove that to me.
What was his name? What was our guide's name?
It wasn't Hagrid, I know that.
Some people call him the Love Cowboy.
What?
Some people call him the Space Cowboy. Some people call him Maurice. I don't know that any of that's his name.
It was, Fankin.
Venkin?
Fankin.
Oh.
F-A-N-K-O-N.
Like Fankin.
Good? Okay. So anyhow, yeah, you guys were shown to a small, out-of-the-way place. And as I said, it's a little, I don't want to say upscale, you know, because 30 years ago it would have been mid-scale at best, but it's upscale as of nowadays. And it's small places called Maurice's, though the guy running it does call it Maurice's. So there we go.
Pull some Maurice's out of the fridge so that I can eat those cups.
There we go. You got it. It's and Lolly immediately says, "I've got to see a guy about a thing." And you see her with a bag full of merce poop heading out the door.
What a fluffy delight.
Yeah. Well, the fun thing about merce poop is it smells fruity instead of duty.
Some might even say fruity pebbles.
No.
They're small.
Fruity puffs.
They're not rock.
No. You know those little things that they used to put on back of socks? Those little pom-poms, those little cloth pom-poms? Imagine those about the size of an apple. That's what merce poop looks like. And apparently Lolly has discovered, depending what you feed your merce, it can change the color.
Oh, Lord.
Alright then.
That's why I don't eat carrots anymore.
Comes out blue.
Yes, that. That is the reason we don't eat carrots.
Now, after being here for about an hour and a half, meeting people, locals, all that, Kavlon has taken to the tabletop a mug in each hand and has decided to entreat everybody with how he came to where he is now. You know what I'm talking about here, Chris? Chris messaged me earlier this week when I was in the middle of doing something, going, "I've got his background." I went, "Great, do it live on the show in role playing, so everybody gets to enjoy it." And then he
Oh.
just posted a Discord. So now he gets to tell us in character what we would know, because he's telling the story while standing on a
I
table.
lied. I lied. I really didn't have that.
No, I have it. I have to go pull it up.
I'll be right back, and the connection goes dead.
It was one paragraph. You don't
Grant?
remember your own? You wrote it 2 days ago.
I did write it. That doesn't mean I remember it all. In a
Surprise,
fit of passion, I wrote it down and forgot to have written it.
surprised Pikachu face when asked to tell us his backstory.
Life is struggle. Was struggle to remember.
He doesn't have drunken recall.
No, that is only recall he has is drunken recall. Doesn't remember shit when sober. Started out as a wee bab left on the monastery up north. You know the ones we're talking about.
Up north from here, up north from where you're from.
Yes. The monks, you know, they work together to collect and preserve knowledge because knowledge is important.
And by knowledge, he means ferment.
Well, that is knowledge that is important to me, less so important to rest of monks, who are very good about collecting and protecting said knowledge. It's why I'm good at the punchy beats. So, you know, grow up a little bit. They say, here, why don't you go helping the monks over there who like the brew stuff? And I went, what is this brewing? And then went, aha, I love the brewing.
It makes me feel warm and tingly.
Well, yes. To a little bit of excess, and monks, you know, get grumpy when you yell at them and tell them to shut up, and drink more brew or wine. Or
No,
meat,
your
because
mama.
they're very good at brewing all of things. But after a while, the most recent Grandmaster, because I have seen many come and go, decide that I should become seeker and go out into the world and collect knowledge and bring back. So I will. Now, I will probably find knowledge involving brewing because that is what I like, but yes. That is plan. That is why we should go north from where we are now to find the peoples who have the magics with brewing, because that is knowledge that should be saved for future. Yes.
Look, Kevlin. I've been meaning to ask since I
Making
met you.
fun of my accent.
No! That's how you said your name.
No drinks.
Okay, so question, okay? Are you which style of fighting do you follow? Are you the rip the shirt off and say, I'll kill you, you son of a bitch? Or are you, how you doing kind of fighter?
How you doing?
How you doing, baby? Or I kill you, you son of a...
Yeah, live and let live. You're not hurting me, I won't hurt you, but don't get in the way of my booze and we are all good. Yeah.
Somebody from the crowd in the bar, and it's actually a crowd in the bar as opposed to being a half dozen to a 24 people. You've got 35 to 40 people in here. But somebody shouts out when you're talking about, you know, your drunken recall. Somebody's like, no, he has sober recall. He recalls everything while sober. That's why he drinks. One of those random shout-outs.
Potato, tomato.
Like her, she's a Kevlon 9.
Somebody wants to know if that's in women's measuring. It's,
I don't know, but she's got a big Adam's apple. And huge hands.
$20 is $20.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Hey,
20 gold is 20 gold.
Oh,
So, anybody else want to give a little bit of their history or background?
can I just say no?
Sharing time.
What, Aaron?
No, no, I do not.
What about you,
But I
Jason?
will friggin' play up for Jaith. I'm like, no, you met Kavron. You should meet Jaith, the Mighty. And then,
well,
I know Jaith the Mighty. Just because I was not on last adventure doesn't mean I didn't spend years with you guys drinking in bar,
indeed.
in your bar, the weird place. I don't remember. What was it when we left?
I don't know, but your tab was 186 gold.
Lies and slander. You know what? Contact the monastery. They will cover my debt.
We owe you. And this wonderful crowd here, have any of them been up north? Perchance, I'll ask. You're here.
It certainly has the feel of an awkward comedy club. Anybody from up north? Anybody from up north? It's
You, sir, where are you from?
2 or 3 people raise their hand or shout something out. You know, most of them, you get the feeling there might be some more that have been up north, but not anybody. You know, most people, they're like, who's this guy? Why am I going to tell him?
So, let me tell you about my wonderful deity. I am a priest of Jonathan. And I'm sure some of you have been in this wonderful town to partake of his hospitality and his look over at Moggets because he's making gestures. But tomorrow in the circle, tell all your friends we're going to, for no charge whatsoever, fix everybody's shoes, any of your equipment that might be a little bit damaged. I'll be, setting up a little bit down right outside the church. So I need you all to come, enjoy the day and the festivities.
So somebody shouts, "You're a cobbler?
Like the pie.
Or a tinker?
I'm a priest of Jonathan. What? Oh,
Or a tinker?" Basically, they want
do
to.
you have something?
Yeah, people start questioning where your skill set lies, so they know how much crap they could bring to you tomorrow to fix for free. They're gauging your
Well-
skill level. Mm-hmm.
The person
He's
that's
a
asking-
fixer.
The person that's asking, I'll look over his shoes. Are they pretty torn up? How about his clothes?
Well, they've seen some better days, but then again, everything is piecemeal nowadays. These guys are a little better put together, but they're more like matching colors of mismatched outfits as opposed to, an actual outfit.
Well, I'll use the mending spell to fix something that's obviously at one time was one piece, or it's torn or broken, and fix it. It's as simple as this. It's a gift from Jonathan.
You can hear a
Now, I have other talents that tend to break things, unfortunately.
You see one
Here
guy
and
flutter his eyes at you.
20 gold is 20 gold.
And you notice the rogue Heron climbing back up off the floor into his chair. The other rogue Heron.
He's fine. He's fine. No worries. More drinks.
Lefty and
Oh,
Ty
Hold on.
have moved on because they're not being housed where you guys are. They're not necessarily associated with you guys in the adventure
Jaith.
legends
Jaith,
that you're
question.
kidding.
Hey, Jaith, question. Can you fix Lefty?
I don't know. I was going to talk to him about that, but we got distracted.
That never happens to us.
No, no.
But that's what you should fix at tomorrow's thing if you're able to.
I don't think it works quite the way you think it does.
But we don't know that it doesn't work the way that I think it does.
What's everybody's passive perception?
13.
16?
Like 11.
16.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it is.
I think with the proficiency it's 14 or something.
Moggets, you notice somebody eyeballing you.
Like they pulled out their eye and are going like this on me? Or just-
No. Like they're checking you out to see if they recognize you, and they look vaguely familiar. You're not sure from where, you're sure it's been a while, and they're not like grinning and waving across the room at you.
how well are they dressed?
Pretty crappy.
Oh, okay, I'm not worried
Not
about
like street hobo.
No. I'm Moggets and I share the firm belief that the better a person is dressed, the more evil they are, and the more capable they are.
I do point
So,
out that you
heroes
have some
are-
pretty nice clothes on Moggets.
Oh, yes, he does. But we go from murder hobo to Neo in the Matrix. And that's Mogget's fashion to evil scale.
Murder hobo, when I first heard the phrase murder hobo, apparently it's a noun. I took it as a verb.
No.
Oh yeah. No, when Emmy got her eyes fixed, the guy said, "Hey, do we have to murder our own hobo, or do you do that for us?" Her optometrist did not like that joke.
Probably not.
I think I've stopped Travis dead in his tracks. Like, wait a
I
second.
don't get it. Why would you do that at an optometrist?
Because she got her eyes fixed. Freaking new eyes.
What's this have to do with... Oh, are you talking about, like, getting the new
Murder
eyes?
hobos.
You-
Yeah, getting eyes.
Okay. Hold on. Let me Kavlot it up here. Give me a second here.
So, do we need to like collect our own hobo's eyes, or do you handle that side of the transaction?
I really feel like he's about to start counting sconces on the wall any second now.
One Chinese gods.
And real quick for a
Cool.
gaming tangent, John, you're familiar with Sesame Street, at least passingly, yeah?
Yes.
Do you remember the Count, the vampire that would count everything? Go
It
on
just made the
YouTube.
noise that it makes.
Go on YouTube and search for Count Censored. He's got a
Yeah.
song on Sesame Street, and every time he says the word count, they bleep it out. It's a very different song after that.
I would imagine.
And Evan points out, it's all things, noun, verb, and adjective. I think my
Murder
confusion...
hobo? Yeah, it is.
I think in my head, like, you know, it's two words, obviously. They're not both nouns or verbs. Murder hobo is like, yeah.
It's a
I
noun
had a
with
verb
an
in there. The way Aaron means it, it's like adjective noun. The way I took it, it's verb noun.
It's a lifestyle. That's what it is.
Apparently.
Hey. Depending on punctuation, you can help your Uncle Jack off a horse.
Yes, you can.
Yeah. Whoa.
But
Whoa.
why do you have to have...
Whoa.
Why do I have to have my Uncle Jack there when I can make all the money myself?
Right.
I think I'm going to go back to drinking with Gavilan and enjoying this.
These are things that Moggets is saying out loud because we've been on the road for a while and he hasn't had 2 beers back to back.
And that's what I'm doing out loud. I'm going over to Cavalon and drinking with him.
Moggets, give me a bullshit roll.
I think I will.
Just a general charisma, leadership, charm, performance, whatever works best for you.
Yeah, 18.
Or-
What's that, Jace?
I said, don't roll a d4.
That's right. And after
18.
after the show, we could discuss switching systems from D&D to Savage Worlds. I'd like to put that out there, not as like next week, but we'll talk about it. 18. Yeah, so Moggitz is obviously talking you guys up, talking himself up. He's playing to the room. And as I said, I use a comparison of your standard 30 years ago versus after the apocalypse there. And he's playing the crowd pretty damn well. He's getting you guys some free drinks. Each of you have had 3 bowls of stew. You didn't ask about the meat, but it might even be goat. Maybe. Oh, by the way, last week...
No es pollo, es rata.
Last week when I was describing those tick-like creatures on the trees, I said cuttlefish. I couldn't think of a horseshoe crab, and it was a horseshoe crab I meant, blended with a tick.
Oh, that makes so much more sense
Yeah,
because I didn't hear a T, I heard a D.
It's my cat and a tick. No. Horseshoe crab without the spiny tail, instead that little protuberance knob on the back. So that totally changes the
That
visual.
makes all of the legs more sense because, yeah, it was like a hard thing, like a cuttlefish. And it was like, so it's diamond shaped with a bunch of legs coming out of one end.
No, horseshoe crab blended with the ticks, blending and camouflaging with the dead trees. Yeah, it's. I realized that like middle of the week, I'm suddenly like, oh, damn it, vocabulary. I knew what it was in my head. What's that?
Sort of like one of those face hugger things.
Ish, yeah, except, much flatter and whatnot. Ross, thank you for that host. Okay, guys, so this evening is actually going pretty well. Between Kavlon's declaration of being left on a doorstep to get sympathy for free drinks, and you guys know that probably wasn't his intention, but he doesn't seem to be complaining that it worked out that way. And Moggit's working the crowd as he is and talking you guys up. It's actually a pretty good evening. Here's what I'd like to do. Now, we could go on
And
like...
at some point, I would have recounted our story of the battle of the, ogres, and then all of the cockatrice and other
Basilisk and
petrification
Gorgon, and then the
creatures.
Hill Giants.
Yes.
Which ogres?
Weren't they ogres? I guess they were hill giants.
Hill Giants. Okay,
Giants.
yeah, okay, good. Making sure we're
The
on the
ogre
same...
was on.
The giants were coming, and then the things came, and yeah.
The ogre was on our side. The guy.
That's right.
Kinda.
It's, And now, apparently, possibly one of your companions is being held by ogres. Or something.
We'll get him back. Nobody puts baby in a corner
Oh,
or
no.
cage.
Grawl does, just to keep it away from him. It's,
I know it's there. Can't bother.
So yeah, Kavlon takes the tabletop again, and with 2 mugs, which later turns out to be
Dance,
2...
Got a pretty
dance,
good
dance.
performance skill, so
Oh, very good. Go ahead and, if you like, go ahead and roll it.
living it up. He's having a good time telling stories.
Roll.
Let's see. Is that dice? 23.
23, very good, yes. Yes, the crowd is very impressed with you, and you're drinking for free all night, and you're getting tidbits of foods and stuff like that.
Are there any girls there?
Not really, unless if you're very interested
Okay.
in a roe Karen on the table. And actually, yeah, there are. Of course, there's women there.
What about Mountain Dews? No.
That's what she calls her bosom. So she's got 2 of them. Not 2
Today.
sets, to be clear. But anyhow, Jath, is there anything you would like to do in that whole evening?
No, I'm gonna look around the crowd, see if I, just kind of get used to the folks of this town. We don't know how long we're going to be here. I really don't know if it's worth it to talk to them about the infestation that we came across. I don't know how much time we have to try to help them with that kind of stuff. So,
Okay.
but just trying to get to know who's here and kind of get a sense of what's going on.
Well, you guys, figuring you'll party into the wee hours, it's probably by 10:30 you're heading to the room that you guys all get to share. Because you have been traveling weird hours and walking long things, and you did walk for half a day today. You're freaking whipped. And then full bellies and booze. Yeah, you stayed up super late till 10:30. It's considering you didn't have to march through the night, good enough. Um, so you guys, like I said, you do have to share a room. There are 2 sets of bunk beds in the room, and then foot lockers, 4 foot lockers. Other than that, there is a small table with 1 chair. It looks like if you pull the table in between the beds, people can sit on bunks, or a foot locker for the other chairs. Pretty simple, pretty basic. There is a slide bolt. It would be relatively easy for those paranoid amongst you, which I think is all 3 of you for the most part. For somebody, put a wire in there, even move it back with a dagger. Not that it's likely to happen, but yes, that could happen. Something you did notice, those patrols out in the street are always 5-man patrols after dark. And there seems to be a spellcaster with about every 4th patrol. And at first you didn't realize it was a spellcaster because, unlike the good old days, they're not walking around in robes and shit. They have a longsword. They have, a dagger. They have their weapon. They're just not as heavily armored. Not that the whole city guard is walking around in plate mail. You're lucky to see a chainmail shirt. It's pretty common to see some bracers or some greaves, even a pauldron or 2. But, that's the wrong word again. What's the fucking shoulder thing? And
Pauldron?
it is
Yeah,
pauldron. I did get it right.
Yeah.
Pauldron, faux armor, or faux hammer. Drop the faux hammer on him.
Moving on.
Yeah.
But it was, after like the 5th or 6th patrol you saw, because they're passing the front door every 20, 30 minutes. And they don't seem to be feared by the crowd, but they're not necessarily friendly with the crowd. And you're unsure if that's turnover or politics. But they're not like, the fat cops from the good old days that everybody all knew and would say, "Hey, Johnny, how's the wife?" It's just like, hey, and yeah. But you guys go to sleep setting watch or just sleeping comfortably?
Well, first thing, since we're in the room privately, how long are we going to do you want to stay, Cavalon?
I don't know. I was going to go see
The guy about a keg?
yes.
Fankin?
Because I need a new carrying keg for Steve. He's got a saddlebag on one side, but he needs a...
Oh, no, that's terribly unbalanced. We need 2 pony kegs.
Sure, but we need booze-carrying apparatus for Steve. So that
Right.
is something that I would like to do while we are here, because I did not have time to do that on our last way through. I would also... So the last time through, before going to meet them, I guess I would have looked to see if there was information on, like, a library or something where they're keeping... where there once could have been a library, to try and do more research on finding, magic brewy stuff. And you know, if there once was a library here, the last time through I would have asked about it so that this time through I could go and find it.
You're
Does that make
relating
sense?
this information to them, unless you object to
Correct.
relating information to them. Yeah, last time you were
No,
here,
no.
you did look into a library, and apparently there was the beginnings of a library 700 years ago or whatever. 700,
Impressive library.
700 years or so ago, but when the place went to shit, the library was looted, burned,
Right,
rescued.
it's usually the first thing to go.
So they have,
Well,
if I may, and then Aaron jump in, they have a library here, but it's very much part of the ruling council's property. Which isn't to say there's not access to it, but there is not free access to it. Free as in
Right.
people can wander in. It's basically you have to be somebody important to get access to it.
Right.
Which, you know, because there are schools that have started up here, and, you know, there are school trips to the library, but it's not a lending library where people take it is a research facility type situation. And you haven't been there yet, but from what I understand, they probably have maybe 30 or 35 books there already, and they're getting a couple more every week. So it's growing in leaps and bounds if you take a month or two to leap. Now, other than that, you also know the process is tomorrow Fankin will be coming to get you guys to do the official thing. He gave you the official tour, put you up for the night. Tomorrow, you're going to see Rajan the Red. So,
Great.
any
Well, I
other?
will relate that as my overarching plan, and however long that takes,
Well,
who knows?
to offer our assistance so you can get access, I'm fine with that. So
Kevlon.
Uh,
Books, kind of rare now. Okay, because two reasons. When the world ended, friggin' people used them as either firewood or as toilet paper. Okay, and I know it seems counterintuitive, but if we can get a single page from any of the old books, we can make them whole again.
I'm not sure that that's how it works, but sure. Let's
Who's the
go
wizard
for
here?
try.
Who's the wizard here?
You are clearly the wizard.
Yeah, right. I don't wear these robes for nothing. So, we need pages of books. Okay? And we'll build our own library. And perhaps we can take a page out of the whole book and make a copy of it. And sell that copy to another library for a page of their books.
I am good at making copies of books. I did it for many, many years.
Yeah, you
It's
seem like you did it the
beautiful
hard
hand-
way. You seem like you did it the hard way.
I mean, yes, that is how you do it, one page at a time.
Right. But you take a page out, make whole. Take a page out, make whole. Take a page out, mend. There we go.
Sure. Sounds like plan.
And you
I'll
got
take the first one.
okay. Does anybody else want to take a watch?
Do you want me to be honest here?
Well, here's the situation. I'm not asking everybody to say out loud because Jaith is waking somebody up. But I need to know if that somebody is staying up.
No, I'm gonna pass the fuck out. 'Cause
I'm
I just
already
spent
passed out.
several hours drinking.
And Jaith, who do you want to wake up for second watch? Kavlon, you're woken up in the middle of the night. You're unsure how long it's been. And he says, take a watch. And you hear him climb into his bunk and roll over. And his gentle
Whoever-
snore that sounds like small little teeny earthquakes. He purposely did that, you swear, just to praise Jonathan. So yeah, you could pretty easily doze back off, sitting up, bottle in hand. Meditate, as Moggitz likes to call it. Or you could stay awake. It's up to you.
I probably stay up like half the time before falling back asleep.
Okay, are you going to worry about waking up to wake up Moggitz for the last shift?
No.
Yeah. Well, you know pretty well anyway. You could do it. So, Jaith, as expected,
I'll put the one chair like under the door handle before going to bed as like extra.
you could also
know.
quite simply take your dagger and jam it diagonal under the door as a doorstop.
Or just sit at where the door's at and lean against
That's right.
it.
You could do that too.
I
So
mean,
there are many
yes,
ways you can do that. And you can lend the chair. Keep in mind, it doesn't have a door knob or a door handle. It has a slide bar.
oh, it's just the slide.
Yeah, the doorknobs were not actually invented till like the late 1800s.
Surprisingly, yes.
It's
Well,
true.
yeah, but you had like the door
You have
latch,
the gate
or
latch
the
like
latch.
thing, yeah, which somebody
Yeah.
just lifts. No turning. But anyway,
I take a piece of wood, done like this, rotate it under the door, flip it up like that, give me a nail, pound it in like this.
Yeah.
Door will not open.
you'll have to invent a
You're
claw
trying.
hammer to get that out later.
Yeah.
You
So
can
I get up and
yeah, actually, Moggitz is already awake. And he's got a small hand mirror, and it looks like he's applying makeup.
Because I am.
Moggitz, your sense here is there ain't a lot of fucking wizards around. Like, wizard-looking wizards. So this is your chance to play that shit up. And also, if that guy was eyeballing you from the corner, well, maybe this will make him leave you alone, maybe make you more recognizable. Either way, it's going to create a tipping point in one direction or the other, so something will happen.
I would like to use my acting skills to provide highlights and things. Because with contours, I can go full Babs
Right.
to get the nose going on and just kind of change the shape of my face just enough from afar.
Very
Full
good.
drag queen.
You also do that thing with your eyebrows where you get a little pig grease and make them get all pointy and wild up top, you know, instead of smooth. There's that crazy old wizard eyebrow thing going on. It's Any other preparations the other two want to make besides maybe morning dedications?
gonna clean up the armor and be presentable. Get ready.
I'll check to make sure how much is in each flask. Tuck it away. You know.
Make sure they all taste good, didn't go bad overnight, that kind of stuff.
Right.
It's, of course,
Well, yeah.
And by the time Fankin does arrive, you guys are downstairs and you've each had a bowl of oats and split a rasher of bacon and a few other things. Something hot to drink to clear the throat. Because at least a human has hit that age where he needs that in the morning. And so a good strong tea. They do have honey here. Apparently they keep bees somewhere on the premises. So that was a nice surprise. Honey on a little biscuit, honey in your tea. And then once you have it on those two things, basically honey's on everything after that because it's fucking honey.
You mean I can have something that's sweet and not this?
Don't point at Jaith when you say that.
Hey, don't judge.
It's So yeah, Fankin says, "Good morning, all. It's such a delight to see. Did everybody sleep well?
Oh yes.
Now, I'm sure you have a list of things to do, and I am assigned to be your guide again today. And before noon, I do want to take you into the keep proper to meet Rajan the Red. He has requested your presence, or you've been granted an audience, or however you like to look at it that makes you feel the best. But the bottom line is, it's something you gotta do. But it will actually be
Well,
him.
I think we should probably start with that. Now that breakfast is done, and then we have rest of day to do whatever it is we want to do rest of day. I suggest drinking before lunch, and then with lunch, and then again after lunch. We should drink all day.
Yes, I've heard about the Rocaire and Elevensies.
I was doing some research. I was doing research for you, Kavlon. I have discovered a breakfast drink other than scotch.
Okay.
It is called a mimosa. Huh? It is a mimosa.
Mimosa.
Mimosa. Now, I don't know what it's made of yet, but I now know it exists and we can find it.
Well, let me know when you figure out what is in new breakfast drink.
He's pretty sure right now it's vodka and oatmeal, but he's going to do some more research to find out.
It's got at least 2 ingredients.
Vodka and something. It's you can go with a red mimosa, which is vodka and tomato juice. So anyhow,
Or a lumpy one. Oh, no.
you can just pour vodka into a tomato. It's really optional here. So anyhow, yeah, you guys head out after breakfast. Not that you kept Fankin waiting long. You already had quite a bit enough. Jaith grabs a couple more biscuits and put them in his pouch to carry along with him. Him being an old trooper on the road, whether it's when he was running a caravan or his little stint in the Rocairn militia, he has definitely learned, you pack it in when you can pack it in, because, yeah, there's a lean time around the corner. Usually, literally. It's,
And Lolly likes biscuits wherever she's at.
That's right. That's right. It's what she'll do for a Klondike biscuit. You guys again kind of go through the city, and it seems like most of the trade and everything is in the human-built sections, and that's where you predominantly are. And as you go into the center of the human thing, it abuts directly to a mountainside that's been very much shaped where the walls curve outward, and you have a flat part right there of that mountain. And as you walk up, you see, as you get closer, and it's a little further than you realize, so as you get closer, it's bigger than you thought. It actually has an archway carved directly into the mountain, and there is space going into that mountain as it starts to slope down into it, wide enough for 2 wagons to pass side by side.
Oh.
After about another 10-minute walk into the mountain, and there are rooms and whatnot branching off of it, seem to be kind of an extension of the marketplace, so it feels more official as opposed to, oh, it's Bob's fruit stand. No, this is Dathan Pass city supplies. Sometimes, there's a line along one wall for rations for certain people, such as the military families are allowed to come in here and just get rations instead of have to go out and buy them, as well as repairs and such as that. And this double wagon wide passageway that does slope down. On the Rocairn, you're definitely feeling the depth underground, especially as the mountain rises up above you. Humans would immediately get confused by this because not only are you sloping down, but you're already underneath 500 or 700 foot of rock. It's a gentle slope, but you wouldn't want to have to ride a bicycle uphill. Yeah. I don't know what you're petting.
Gentle slope.
Gentle slope.
Oh, okay. I thought maybe you were petting one of the Rocairns. I don't know what you're doing. But
That
anyway,
too.
you get to a large underground courtyard. This is lit by a couple of things. There are, really, my vocabulary, terraces up there that are probably only a yard wide, and they seem to be cultivating moss there, moss that glows. So no doubt this is part of the food source as well as whatnot. And you can see, like I said, there's not a lot of magic around, and most of it is minor magic. So if, for game terms, a lot of people, the vast majority of people that have any magic ability, we're looking at like first level and cantrip spells. So they're keeping the moss moist up there. But there's also the rare occasional magical glowing item, such as iron stick with some sort of magic on the end of it, and at the places there are just oil lamps. And this is the most common form of lighting. Because you are underground, Rocairn don't mind the chill in the air, that moist, wet chill, but it bothers human lungs. So there are braziers set up generally out of the way and in cut alcoves along the wall. And the top of the alcove has been polished to a high shine, so there's a little bit of a reflection coming back. I'm not saying it's a spotlight or anything like that. It's not a mirrored surface, but it's enough that it's creating a little bit of ambient light.
I mean, any curved surface is going to bounce that back out. So.
Right, and that little bit of polishing to it, and
they're like footlights.
Exactly. And, as you go further on, now this courtyard branches off into other places. Never a passage as wide as the one coming down here. But some of them, 2 or 3 of them, are even large enough for a wagon to go down. Or at least a goat or a dog-pulled cart. And other people able to pass in the other direction at the same way. But you're shown a continued main thoroughfare deeper into the rock. Now it's only a short 50 to 80 feet down that passage you go. And it also does branch off on each side, and there is definitely standard, just cut into the rock, 10-foot deep guard posts. And the guard posts, again, they're very haphazard. They're outfitting. The guards themselves, though, it's hard to find a greenhorn. Even the young people look like they've seen some kind of action, because that's how the world is nowadays. Generally, by the time you hit 16, if you haven't been in a couple fights, and not with the neighbor kid, you've got a very blessed and special life. But you're shown into a large room, and it brings to mind, if Vikings lived underground, that's what this place makes you think of, a Viking longhouse. There are large, long tables. There is a throne-ish structure at the end. In other words, a big chair with some areas around it, and it's on like a 2-step dais. Anyhow. At the end of the long table in front of the dais, not up on the throne, but sitting in a chair that's been pulled up to the end of the center wide long table, is a man, and he's got a big bushy red beard, and he's got red hair pulled back into a ponytail, and you can see a helmet sitting, just out of reach of him, and a sword beside the helmet in front of him, and an axe on the table also. And he's got a crowd of people around him, and a small line of 6 or 7 people lined up to see him, and he's looking over papers, and you can see a half-eaten breakfast next to him, and 2 or 3 mugs of different things. He seems to be drinking from one in particular, and then just sipping at the others now and then. And Fankin leans in and whispers to you, loud enough that it's not really a whisper, "That's Rajan the Red. He'll see you as soon as he's done speaking to these folks." And you guys get in line, and there is a 6-foot distancing rule here, but not because of plague. Because don't get up on people and don't listen to their business. It's only polite. You guys have about a 10-minute wait in line, where you do look over different people. So if there's anything in particular anybody's looking for in this type of atmosphere, let me know. I'll let you know if you see it. Otherwise, like the first guy is some kind of merchant trying to get rights to sell certain things. It sounds like artisan pieces, which are kind of useless, but he wants to be the only one that sells this thing he makes. And Rajan says, you will get 9 months of exclusivity, and after that, we're opening it up. But for the next 3 months after that, you get 20% of all profits from anybody that sells a like product. After a year, it's open market. And that's the kind of decision you get there from him. The next person is a farmer that has a line from across the rolling mountains. He's got a hold of a cousin there that has seeds that they don't have in this area, and he thinks it'll grow well in the rocky soil. And these are the kind of things you're hearing, the kind of day-to-day business. The person, or the group of people, 2 in front of you, give me a second, Aaron, I'll hand right to you, it sounds like there's some kind of scout party or adventuring party, and they've been out exploring the wilderness where the Athene used to live, to the west of the rolling mountains. And you hear about the destruction and the things in the woods and the forests there, and it's very dangerous, and there should be a better way to pass because caravans will get just wrecked going out that way. Aaron, what were you raising your hand for?
Just kind of listen in, run the stuff in my back, run the stuff in the back of my head, and go, okay, where can I profit off of here? The guy freaking with the trademark or the copyright thing or patent or whatever you want to call it, keep that in the back of my head, and then see what I can do. Because hey, he may be protected here, but he's not necessarily protected elsewhere. I can sell that idea off in the future.
Okay, and by the way, the idea is mechanized brass toys, but he also wants to maybe wire them to like a bird that will whistle when somebody opens the door, that sort of thing. Whistle and flap and clank. So it could be used as an alarm or just a notification that somebody's entering a store door. The applications are limitless type situation. That sort of thing. So yeah, you file that away for later use when you can pawn it off, sell it to, or con the next person into paying you something for that idea. You might also want to consider buying one from this guy if you can find him, so you have a sample. Yeah, they can reverse engineer it. When you guys get up there, Rajan's assistant, which is not Fankin, you can hear him telling Rajan, we have Jaith, Fire Digger, and Moggets, no last name, claims to be a wizard and dresses like the old stories. And we think he's a farmer, but we know he's drunk. Another rogue cairn. And then Rajan, he's watching you guys as you hear this assistant give the description. He looks over at Fankin, and Fankin says, Rajan, I have brought them as you have requested. And now, Rajan, just because we want to do this, don't we, speaks with that dwarfish accent we all know so well.
Yeah.
No, not that dwarfish accent. Not what it actually should be, from the Nordic region. No, instead he's like, well, suddenly he's Jewish Scottish.
Oi, Jamalta.
Hold on. What's my Scottish keyword to kick off my Scottish accent? Aye.
Would you have any haggis?
There we go. I will go with a bit of that then. So, hello. I hear you traveled a long way and that you've done some amazing things along the way. I'm Rajan the Red.
It's true. We have done many things in our travels.
Please introduce yourself,
And
each of
plan
you.
to continue to do things. Yes.
Fire Digger, priest of Jonathan. I'll bow.
He gives you a nod of the head, looks to the next one.
I am Kevlon, monk of the way, and I bow.
Huh. And he pokes his assistant, make a note. Make a note of that. And you in the dress.
I'm Moggets. I'm known as the Wizard. And I do the...
You see a nervous person in the back. Take a step back when you start to make your magical gesture. It's, very good. So I've heard of, your... Now he's wandered to a different country. Let's just say he has a Scottish-like accent, and when it comes to me, I'll do it. Because apparently it's not working out well tonight. It's, Hold on, I think the key word I used to get into Scottish accent, but you shag one sheep.
And you're no longer known as the bridge builder.
So, what is it you come here for?
It was on the way.
I thought it was you who summoned us.
No, I called you guys here today, but you came here. Kavlon, I think we spoke before. He looks at assistant nods. You said you had friends that assistant nods. Go find, bring here. You were following rumors of them. I gave you the information I could. Well, I had one of my people do it. You found them. You're back. What can I do for you? Are you staying here? Can I assign you tasks? What are we looking at here? Are you here to barter something and head back out?
I have some research to possibly do here in town, which could take anywhere between a day or two to a month or so. Who knows, really? We could do tasks, yes, friends. Chief, I know, wants to visit the temple and see if he can help the temple of Joneth in some way. Who the
We're
fuck
more than-
knows what Marcus wants?
No, we're here to help, and I'm sure you can. You have need of help. We have need of help. Maybe we can help each other.
Marcus does that. I will sip from my flask
And you,
while Margits is talking. The
priest,
entire time Margits is talking.
priest,
I'm just
fire
drinking
digger.
from a flask.
I noticed as we came to your wonderful city that there's an infestation out there. Are you doing anything to put a stop to it?
You have to be a bit more specific on which infestation you mean. We have probably 15 or 20 different infestations.
They look like horseshoe crabs on the trees.
The green ones?
Green and brown, and yes.
The purple ones that glide?
I don't know. Did they glide?
No, and they were
I
all
don't
black.
know. We did not interact with them. They were weird bug things that were stuck to trees. Trees were all dead.
Yes.
Ish. Looked dead. Could be alive. I don't know. I am not arborist.
Tap Pavel on the shoulder. Hey,
Duh.
we can probably ferment them.
I'm unfamiliar with fermenting in animal bits, but I can't imagine it would be good, but perhaps.
You can ferment anything.
I would be more than willing to help if you can give Kavon access to the library that he wishes to study at.
Let me tell you, Jay.
While
When it comes to an infestation, the point is to secure what we have here, and then when we build outward, we worry about these infestations depending what they are. So yes, you're more than welcome to go out and kill these things, but there are thousands upon thousands of them, and you'd have to burn down part of the forest that we might do one day. So perhaps there's better things we can point you towards if you're willing to help. And
indeed,
all you want in exchange is access to the library?
that is correct, Kavon. Right?
Yes, that would be lovely. We can do other tasks too, maybe for some coin or services around town. We
Kavlon,
are
coin
very
is
capable people.
coin is essentially useless. Yeah, it's you guys have thousands of gold. It's at least they do from the dragon thing. Were you there for the dragon thing?
Oh,
He's not there for the dragon thing.
Neither was Moggets, actually.
That's true. So Jay has. But the point is,
I have lots of gems and things.
you know, in a place like this, there is more usage of coin than other places, but even the value is still shaky at best.
Right.
But he says, okay. Oh. Hi, Andrew.
Hello?
It
Hello?
surprised me. I must not have seen the phone notification she probably messaged. Yes, she did. So, yes, but if you can tell me what it is you're looking for, there might be better resources in a library. Now, if it's personal and private and you just want the library. Uh-huh. Do you want to jump in?
Are you in game or
In game. They're talking to Rajan the Red.
I may have to show up.
She looked a little excited and then bolted out of the room. It's
My friend Tavlon here, he's looking to seek the next stage of mastery in his skill. And I friggin' pantomime the friggin' drinking. To do that, he thinks there are formulas or diagrams that might be available in your library. In reality, we're just looking for the breadcrumbs to take us to those formulas, diagrams, to make him a better monk.
Kavlon.
I'm just giving him the stink eye the whole time.
But he was behind you, standing over you. But yes, you still catch movements. You know what he's doing. So, yeah.
I'm not lying. I'm not lying.
Kavlon,
He's not wrong. But
you want to make booze, yes?
it is one of the many things that I am interested in, yes. I have
Booze
heard rumors that up north were some peoples prior to the talisman who had magics that enhanced brewing and its abilities and things. In other general
play it here?
things,
Okay.
He wants to make booze and booze accessories.
Okay.
bugs of the way like to collect information.
I'm letting
So, any information about what is going on around here that can be preserved for future
Better?
is good to take back to monastery.
Are you ready?
Yeah, I'm gonna use your dice because I'm just.
Okay.
Go ahead. Oh, I have to roll them now.
No. You might not have to roll them at all. Okay.
Talking to
You. Can I bring you in?
me. Yeah.
Okay. You guys hear a disturbance in the back of the hall. It's
What
a
are you doing?
high-pitched singing, people clapping along with it, and by singing,
Ah, dude.
We will. Oh,
it's yeah, it's you guys immediately recognize Lolly's voice, and she has 4 guards around her, each of them wearing a boutonniere made of merce puff.
Oh.
And they're in bright
Cheesy proof.
colors. And you also see she now has a new hat and new boots and a very colorful that half cloak thing that goes over one arm that you've always looked at going, why do they even wear this? Well, she's got one.
And
Even-
everybody's gonna want one.
you can't lay in my dice box.
I won't.
Okay, Ross. It's So yeah, she is joined, and Rajan looks to his assistant, who leans in and says, "Lolly, she's relatively unknown. Well, her past. A colorful-
In the dice box.
yeah, yeah. For those of you who are watching, this is what we get to deal with there. There's my dice box. I roll my dice in.
And there's a cat in it.
There we go. It's Okay, so now Lolly has joined, and Rajan is like, here's what I'm going to tell you, Kavlon. If you're researching booze, now we have something to talk about, because drinking has value. More so than attacking some hopeless campaign against those things in the woods. We'll name them later. I think somebody already named them. I don't really know.
George.
It was not George. And so to the north, and here's what I'll tell you. I'll have my people look through our books. If we have anything we think you can use, we'll arrange that. But the bottom line, if you're just looking for the breadcrumbs to go someplace, then perhaps if I put you in touch with the right people, they can direct you better there. But it sounds like you already have an idea of where to go. And that
We have some idea.
we might be able to
I
help
would
you.
not mind setting up small shops to brew things while I am here to be able to distribute. I know many great brewing recipes for many different kinds of alcohol.
This is where the pinch comes in. You don't get to control the flow of alcohol in the city. I do. But
I'm fine with that.
I will help you get this stuff. You share the knowledge with me, and we give you the equipment to set up anywhere else you want and open up trade between the two of us.
Sounds like plan. I like said plan. As
It's-
long as I can make booze and share good booze with good people, I do not care where or when.
Yes, and you can make the booze and you can share the booze, but the moment we catch you charging for it, there will be problems. So as long as you're giving it away for free, and then the assistant
Look,
leaves
give it
over
to
a moment.
you and you can distribute to sell. That is fine with me as well.
Yeah, that's what we will get out of this because an army, they respond well to alcohol, and it's definitely a good thing.
I know some good fortifying ales to keep you going.
Very good. We can talk about this. Where in the north?
It is, let's see, Rolling Mountains are there somewhere around Turloon? Turloon?
Okay. And what were you going to say, Aaron?
I was gonna say, hey, freaking, I'll rattle it off based on previous conversation. Up in this region, but not narrow it down too much, just the region, because that's kind of
Hold
the
on.
premise.
Let me go back through my notes. I know exactly where it should be, in theory.
Jace, do you want to add your
No.
information to this too?
Nope.
I don't know if that's going to necessarily help, but
What I'm saying is, do you all want to just spill the information you have to get as close as you can and give them the information
oh yeah,
to help them?
and I'll start. It's also telling them what I actually know. So.
Yeah, it sounds like Kavlon is definitely being open. Moggets is being a bit vague, and I'm just seeing, depending what information they get.
It-
Yeah,
Not lying, just more opaque than friggin'.
right. They're talking about taking a trip to make booze.
I'm in.
Yeah.
It's I'll try to stay out of the way so you guys.
Here's where I named all of my flasks, but apparently I do not have written down.
Okay, this is something your character would know at least generally. Terry Luen is probably a third of the way to halfway up Rolling Mountains, so just south of the midpoint. The place you want is about 3/4 from the very northern tip of Rolling Mountains. It's actually very close to where you guys met the
Gotcha.
Yak
This
Man.
map then is not big enough.
Well, no, it's not Grull's map.
Well, no, the one you sent us, like, I guess that's in the middle. Sure.
In the middle between the cheeks. Whose map are we looking at?
You've got to keep in mind the maps drawn by hand by cartographers before they had satellite GPSing may not always be accurate. But if you like, I will gladly pull up the actual map and get a ruler out and check the 200 mile per half inch.
No, it's fine.
Okay.
Just go that way.
It's
Quarters of the way.
so it looks like if you're going through the mountains themselves, there's different ways you could do it. You can go up the west side, which is definitely hazardous. You can go up the east side, which is pretty damn hazardous. You can go under the mountains, which is totally unknown, and you never know what you're going to find. Or we have one other way.
Let's move on up to the east side. Through the east side.
Moving on up.
What is this other way you speak of?
We have found certain magics here that can get you places very quickly. But there are risks.
Uh-huh.
And after your, and he looks at his assistant, who nods and points at something in the paper and holds it towards him. After your doings in Sand Bilge, a whole portaling network came to life that used to be tied in here. When they first made this whole complex, the three races, they linked like Pantageus, everywhere, Terry Luen, and some of the great Aphene cities across the continent and even on other continents with a portaling network. It was shut down, and then after the Talisman, it tainted because we had things coming in from other worlds, other dimensions. We had demons, we had truods, we had necromantic magic seeping into the earth. We had the hordes of Kalikian rising up from the earth. So things have tainted, but we are starting to create more stable connections. Mm-hmm.
The Perennium Network is back up?
Okay, that's a newer name for it. We didn't originally call it that way back when.
You say the cranium?
But you said it was tainted and...
Yes,
I call it the coffee table.
that's right. So we might be able to get you there, but there is very small likelihood we'll be able to bring you back, which means you would have to travel back on foot. Or whatever mode of transportation you so choose to take.
I have my merce.
And
I do have riding chicken. I call him Chocobo. I don't know what you people call him down here.
Big Bird.
Choke
dinner.
above.
Now, do you guys need to gather some supplies and talk about this before you make a decision?
Oh,
Yeah,
absolutely.
we'll be
We're not the kind of
there.
people to rush into things. So, yes, but that
We're not.
this is a good basic plan to work with for now. Is it okay if we get back with you in a couple days after we gather supplies and stuff and go from there?
And what did Kavlon say?
We need a few days. I have some things that must be constructed by your fine craftsmen before I leave.
Okay, and Jaith, you have a look that says either you're constipated or have something to say.
Well, no. I'll spread the word of Jonathan while I'm here. I am curious, what is the current state in Sand Bilge?
Sand Bilge has become a hive of scum and villainy. It is drawing caravans of the worst types in. There are 2 small armies camped somewhere in the crags outside of it that will attack these caravans and not let people go in. From what I understand, one is called Mogget's Militia, and the other one is called Jaith's. I think it was just Jaith's army, right? He looks at his assistant. He says, "We have a few different things. They didn't come up with a good name yet." As well as the Children of Kalikian, which are some kind of bug men who seems to be supporting these human-based armies.
Interesting. They took our names.
Jaith, going through it, you left people
Yeah.
in charge of yours. You had a
What?
second in command, so it could be your people. It's
Oh, they're-
And are they keeping like all outsiders? Are they keeping all outsiders out from going into town, or are they
there is no town.
like there must be some kind of trade going in and out, or people
No.
would be starving?
There are demons coming out of it, things from other worlds. The people trying to get in there are not going in there to trade.
They're going in there to
Grace.
die.
I understand now. So 2 armies are protecting things coming out.
Trying to contain them and stop other people from going in to join them or keep the people safe if they're not. Scum and villainy. We have sent scouts and parlayed with the armies briefly just to see what's going on. Apparently, there is another network of portaling there, broken shards of reality reflecting other places. It's about all the information we have about it. There was. He stops himself as his assistant touches his elbow and shakes his head no. There's other things we have knowledge of that we're not at liberty to discuss right now.
We understand.
But it's a mess. That's the short version.
It was when we left.
So, why don't you guys take 3 days? The afternoon before dinner, please. 3 days hence, you return to me. Fankin will set up the appointment. We'll bring you in here and we'll discuss next steps. Or are you sure you're doing this and in 3 days hence we should have transport prepared?
75% as of right now, and we'll send a messenger tomorrow or the following day.
Fankin will check back with you on a regular basis. He is assigned to you to help you find what you need and assist you. If you pull through with this, there is a place here for you guys. If you don't pull through this, then it's not an option. But also, if you pull through this, we can just set up our independent agreement of exchanging knowledge for the transport and whatnot, and let you go your own way with contracts and agreements. It's
Sounds reasonable.
okay. Who's next on the books? Fankin leans over. If there's anything else you want to say or get, now's the time to talk. You're good. Okay, come on, let's get out of the way. And he's kind of like ushering you quickly out of the way. And not that you forgot him, but he's moving on to the next person in line now.
As he's doing that, kind of flash it up like we got everything we wanted on the way out.
Very good.
You've seen the charismatic entrance, the guy that stops the room when he enters. I want the charismatic exit.
Very good.
Interesting hat, Lolly. Come with us, please.
Thank you. It's an original design.
I see you were successful in selling your merce accoutrement.
Pokemon.
I'd say so. Pull out a lot of money.
Fantastic.
Let's go to the bar. To the pub. My treat.
To the pub.
Oh, look, Kevlon. She got money for it all.
Huzzah!
Let's celebrate.
Money's not worth a lot.
Hey, she's a magpie. She likes money.
She likes anything that is shiny. It's very shiny.
It works.
Lolly, we are going to start our very own brewery here in the city. You should be excited, yeah?
Yes, very excited. When do we start?
Good question. Hey, thank you.
Yeah. What can I do for you?
Well, first, I need to get some things for Steve. Then, lunch. Then, I will get you things that we need to start a brewery. But we will need location first. So, if you could probably find us a building to start the brewery, would be good.
Moggett says,
This is part of the... Well, I have a little project of my own. I hope you guys don't mind, but I think it might be worthwhile for us.
No, go ahead.
No.
No, please, go ahead. Go do what you need to do, good sir.
No. But I think it might be worthwhile for you as well. Cornerstones.
I don't
I've
think
been reading up on them.
the church is already built here.
Oh, right. But elsewhere, it's not.
Well, when we go elsewhere, we'll take care of that.
so today is spent wandering around this city. Now, because of the format of play, If we could all stick together, that's always better. If we can't stick together, then I'd rather cover stuff in like 3 sentences per person. But together, there's better chance of interaction or role play without somebody having to sit there, twiddle their thumbs, and doze off in their chair.
Indeed.
It's So the first stop Fankin takes you to is the Church of Jonath. This is built straight into one of the mountain walls. It looks like it was originally more of a hill, but it's been cut and formed into a church, and it looks like it was done a long time ago and recently repaired. Recently, being the past 3 to 5 years. You definitely see some wear on the outer walls where things have grown up on it or chiseled away at it. But they weren't whole stones that somebody could like take away and build something with. It was carved out of a hill. So it's about 3 stories tall. Medieval stories, that is. Impressive for that era, but not, a towering structure of 120 feet or anything. There is those things that you put around something you're building, the planks and
Scaffolding.
Thank you, scaffolding around one side and the back, where they're adding towers onto it. All the towers on a Church of Jonath tend to be flat on top, so you can actually go up and see the lay of the land as opposed to enclosed. Priests of Jonath don't mind standing in the elements. The earth thrives because of elements, not because it hides from elements. There is also rooftop gardens. So you're kind of glad. Now, this might be 3 stories tall, but you're guessing the inside, and you'll see proof of that once you do go inside, is only about 2 stories tall, which means you probably have 10 foot of rock and 2 foot of soil on top of that for those rooftop gardens.
Huh?
Hope it doesn't collapse.
Eben says, bless you. No, not with 10 foot of rock. Probably shouldn't.
On the top?
It's repair and made.
Oh, well then it's fine.
Yeah, and it's carved straight out of a solid stone hill.
Oh, it's carved out of hill. See, I'm not paying attention. I don't know what I'm looking at.
She was busy feeding her Merce something else of a different color.
Another color.
We need more colors for more designs.
I don't think you can have it poop plaid though. Stop doing
I,
that.
I have heard of an older thing that was very similar to candles without wicks in them. I guess they were used as ancient writing utensils, but they came in a variety of colors. Perhaps that would be useful for you?
Who are you talking to?
To feed the Merce?
Yes, Delali.
Okay. Maybe.
Cavalin, I'm going to introduce myself to the to whoever's the lead priest here, and then we can be on our way.
Lovely. Let's go into church.
Magus is going to go find a candle maker and basically have crayons made.
To feed the Merce.
The Merce.
Okay. For our viewers, do not eat crayons.
Or
So
They're
colored
mostly
candles.
vegetable oil.
don't eat colored crayon or colored oil wax things so you can poop out colors. Don't do it. That's just for a Merce.
It's experience speaking, folks.
For all the Twitch viewers, please do not eat.
And if you do, please do not
Growing
send us
up, my
pictures.
neighbor's dog ate a box of crayons and she pooped rainbows for like a week.
Mhm. That's our goal.
And
Yeah.
that's how we made Skittles in my D&D world.
Oh God. Maybe. Here, taste the rainbow.
Eat the rainbow!
They have honey.
They do.
If it does that, then wow, when everybody's drunk, I'll try to feed it to them.
They can need to
Eat
feed
this.
its rabbits, so they're skittle size, not Merces. Anyway.
So, you guys enter the church, the 4 of you, and do you guys need Fankin, or can he go about his other duties? You guys good with where you got to go and all that stuff?
As long as he can point me to a Cooper, then, he can go about his way.
A Cooper, like somebody who makes chicken coops?
A cooper, like someone who makes barrels.
Gotcha.
Chicken coops. Do they have those?
They do. Yeah, they have chickens here. They also keep bees.
But they're not called coopers. What are they called?
Beekeep-
Chickeners?
Farmers.
The ones that.
Actually, my buddy was in today. That's what he worked on all day was his chicken coop for his house. I said, that was a miserable job all day. I said, I would imagine.
I bet. Yeah, you're able to get directions to that. So as you each enter the church, it is, considering how long it's been since you've seen a proper church at Jonathan, it's very impressive. It's simple. It's basic. Not that the churches were ever lavish, except in some of those larger human cities where they make everything lavish and they think if you put stained glass and gold gilt on things, it has more holy value.
Not just gold gilt, but regular gilt.
That's right. That's right. Churches are built with guilt.
We're not talking about Catholics here.
And yeah, nobody seems to pay you much mind, but you go up and introduce yourself to somebody, and excuse me, an older human approaches you. He's a big burly guy, but he is on in his years, so his flesh hangs a bit. If we imagine Schwarzenegger now, he's not quite the buff ripped guy he was then. But this guy also has, the big burly beard. It's beards are common enough in this area, but they're not necessarily the common thing. Not everybody has them. Humans like them because it gives them a more fierce impression. Dwarves have them because it's art. And there's your different. And Aphine, Cantor won't grow them. One of the two, you're not sure. You think they're
Dwarves, it's for protection.
Huh?
Dwarves, it's for protection. It's part of your armor. Actually, I think humans, that's why they grew beards too, was, in case they were getting punched and stuff.
In the throat.
To blend in.
Shit, believe it or not, that's what they thought.
Oh, by the way, Rajan the Red was about 5'3", and about.
Well, that's a different vision that I had of him.
Yeah, he looks like he might be a
That's
Rokaran human offspring.
Okay.
Mule.
Ish.
Well, you did say that he had a dwarven accent to his voice.
Yes. Yes.
It's different. All right.
It's but he was quite broad-shouldered and everything. He's and the weapons that were on the table, they don't look ornamental. Well, the sword kind of did. The axe not as much. It's but he seems to be a man of action put into a businessman's role.
Yeah.
So in the
Warrior
church,
King.
you spend about 2 hours there, and after discussions, there is dedications and there is prayer, and they reaffirm you with the church itself, which you have mixed feelings about. I should say you have reservations about. There's no reason you shouldn't, but you're reluctant to take. You've been on your own too long to just take an oath because it has the word church at Jonathan over it.
Right.
Not that they were looking for you to do that, but they have connected you with their church and reaffirmed you with their God, and you can feel, the blessing of Jonathan here and everything, but it's not necessarily. You're not sure it's home. You're not sure if this is the place to be. But at least.
On top of that, Jaith is a traveler, and if they get dependent on what he's going to be doing, it's like, well, I might not be here, so. But I'll offer any assistance that I can while I'm here. So.
Well, you've got a busy couple days, so that might be limited how much you can offer, but you could definitely pop in and, there's enough.
Yep.
16 hours a day, you could definitely be here for 4 or 5 without a problem and do something.
Yeah.
And they're
Tell them where I'm staying.
Hmm?
Oh, go ahead.
at
I tell them where I'm staying if they do need it.
at Maurice's.
Yes.
Very good. Um,
Or
well, they're definitely interested in you relating your tales. You know, all of them,
we,
not just like the
oh,
past year's worth, but you know, from the talisman forward, because that's when
well,
communication broke down. Hmm.
I will be back in a few hours. We have some business to do, my compatriots, and I'll be back to bring you up on after the talisman.
Very good. Now, you all realize this
If you
trip.
like,
Okay.
if you like, I can write it all down. If you all provide the parchment, I can write it down and make it look very pretty in book as he dictates his story. If that interests you, all here of the church.
Jaith.
I would be more than happy to provide that, and I'll even go get the parchment if the church is willing to keep that here.
Church is definitely willing to keep that here. It's and there is, because of the clearing of some of the scrap trees and whatnot, there is rough parchment available here. It's not the best quality because they're not using all the right kind of trees for the pulping and whatnot. And you know, if you go over to the southwesterly portion of the area, and near the Aphine borders, you could definitely smell the processing. It's but yeah, it's easy enough to pick up a sheaf of paper.
Smells like West Point.
Yes, it does.
Yeah.
It's
That one will smell.
it's,
Well,
I go out there and run in June every year.
If as we head out, Cavalon, that was thank you for offering.
Of course. I figure if we are going to start brewery here, we should start building other relations. This can help you, this can help us. If this may be our base of operation for a while, why not suggest? And I have spent many, many, many years copying books, so I am very quick and I can make it look very pretty very quick.
he uses that same line to pick up women.
Yeah.
Want to see my book? Very pretty and very quick.
Smart ass.
So, you guys then follow Kavlon on his couple of errands where he goes and finds a barrel right to make.
Cooper?
Yes, Chris, a Cooper, which is also known as a barrel right or a Wainwright, and which sometimes work on wagons and the hoops that go around barrels, or a blacksmith could just do them. It all depends
Sure.
on what's available and how specialized the society has gotten at that point in time.
Or the general store that has them for sale.
There you go.
Full of candy.
So, what is it you'd like, Chris?
Essentially somewhere a little bigger than a pony keg, a small keg to get, and then take that to a leather worker. Go get Steve, clearly. And take Steve to a leather worker who can refit the saddle and the saddlebags so that it can also, counterbalance those and carry this keg so that it can be removed, and then, that sort of deal.
Strap.
For however long in the day or multiple days it will take. That is Cavalon's plan.
Very good.
So if there's a pony
Until we
keg,
need to go back and, record Chief's story.
if there's a pony keg, how big is a Merce keg?
Ooh.
Half the size of a pony keg, maybe.
3/4.
Yes, sir.
Now, does the leather worker here have? Is he the one that also makes tents and stuff?
Makes what?
Tents. That was one thing I needed to have done while I was here.
Need a tent, huh? Yeah, they're definitely going to have tents. Are you just looking for a small one-man tent?
Yeah. Well, what I want done is I want the symbol of Jonathan, put on the side of it on the tent.
Do you want it painted?
I'd like something that's, if it rains, it's going to continue to be there. So embroidered is fine, or
Okay.
something a little bit more.
Could probably friggin' dye it and then friggin' but put the reverse emblem on there so that section's not dyed. Almost bleached
Whoever-
out.
I'm sure whoever can do that service will tell me what's the best way to go about it.
It is. They don't have. A lot of that stuff is done by the individuals themselves. It'll take a bit of looking around town, but you're able to find somebody. As for embroidery, it is going to take them about 3 weeks to embroider that in.
Oh Lord.
Yeah, they don't
All right.
have embroidery machines. It's hand stitching.
Well, I know.
And, of course, they have their other orders and whatnot, and depending on the size you want. The dyeing or painting, possibly a little easier. So there's different ways to do it, or a combination thereof.
That's even do the, with
So-
leather they can do with the tools and stuff.
Embossing.
Embossing it.
Right, that might be quicker to put
They
it
can
on
just-
leather and then just stitch the leather to the side.
Easiest thing to do is just bleach it. Friggin' take a stencil, friggin' hit it with bleach, and then that becomes an offset when you pull it off.
Well,
And it
things
won't
you
friggin'
know
run.
how to do, But what I'm saying is that might not be available there though. Just like the dyes and stuff. I don't know if they specifically have that there.
Men does cleaning. Does that include bleaching?
Well, if you just cover, with mud, the symbol you want, and then sit it out in the sun will bleach the rest of the area. You scrape the mud off. There you go.
Mm-hmm.
See, simple, and it's earthy. You're welcome.
And it'll smell earthy afterwards.
Or I could take some Merce fluffs and stick them in the symbol pattern.
Well, I appreciate your offer for helping me with it. Yeah. But thank you.
Everybody's all got all kinds of ideas. We could just
I have
sew
all of
merch
these-
poop to it.
I have all these fluffs.
How long have you been collecting the merce?
Oh, it's only
It's
been 20 minutes.
You must go right through him, huh?
Yeah.
Hi. Hold on.
Where
Okay.
to next?
So what about Moggets and Lolly? Do they have anything they want to do over the next couple of days?
I'm doing it.
Yes. There's a couple things that I would like to do. First off, I'm going to take a couple 20 minutes to nicely and neatly make 2 or 3 pages of lorem ipsum, that fake language.
Uh-huh.
Okay. And then I'm going to wait for Calvalon to get drunk and ask him to freaking copy it into a book.
Okay.
This is going to be a long-term scam. Basically, I want to make lorem ipsum books that I can sell to other libraries that they can decode on their own.
Okay.
Very good.
Do you need a cover for
Uh,
the book? Do you need a cover
Do
for
I
the
need-
book?
oh,
I got
absolutely.
all of these lovely
Oh,
fluffs.
yeah.
They can cover the
Just to
book.
start, I need one to start with, but I want him to, oh, hey, I have this page. Can you add it to my book? Can add it to my book? That kind of thing. The other thing is, what was it? The Lorax, the thing that they pulled off the trees.
Truffula trees?
Yeah, exactly. The what was this? The snoots. I want to see if we can friggin' convert our poof balls into snoots.
You are talking Dr. Seuss now, right?
I absolutely am talking Dr. Seuss.
Where else would you find Laura?
I just had to check.
But no, and the reason being, Moggets has read things, but not all of it's worthwhile. Some of it is Horton Hears a Who, a guide to necromancy.
You know. Classics.
I want to read that Dr. Seuss book. Where's a book, Guide to Necromancy?
Right.
Some of Lolly's inspirations.
You gotta understand, he doesn't actually know spells and things, but he does remember things, and he's like, oh, that was a necromancy book. Or here's a Who, or a guide to herbology, the Lorax. I'm like, okay, things like that. This is what he remembers,
Okay.
because he's a con artist.
So everybody, keep in mind all these little projects you're doing to bring them back up if in the future. It's you gather around in Maurice's.
Maurice's.
The guy who runs the place is actually named Reese, but he has a minotaur head above the bar, so the place has been dubbed Maurice's. Yeah, it's kind of weird after dealing with the Yakmen so recently to see that. Well, I guess actually only one of you, no, two of you dealt with the Yakmen. Okay.
Not me. I don't know that horrible story.
It's
As long as I don't call it the Space Cowboy.
there we go.
He said blue milk.
There could be with a small spell, but it wasn't that kind of minotaur. So, for the last few minutes, let's discuss your plan. So, when you move forward, because it sounds like that's generally where this is heading, they're essentially offering to teleport you, or they have a portal system somewhere closer to where you need to be. It's, where exactly do you guys want to try to get them to go? And, you know, directly to or as close as you can get to this dwarven place where people used to have this technology, or are you looking to land somewhere else and do other things too?
Yeah, I mean, that's a great place to land, and then we can always do stuff after. At least now we've got a plan of action.
Well, also keep in mind anything you get from them, especially if it's any kind of gear, you have to transport it all the way back down. The reason I'm asking is the place where you think Grull might be is between where you are now and where you're going. And are you going to try to stop there at all? If you are you going to do it before or after?
Well, if we know that it is roughly between where we are going, then it makes sense to go all the way up there.
Come back to it.
Right. Stop on the way back and try and find him on the way back down.
Okay.
3/4 of the way there, or friggin' halfway between there and where Grull is. That way it looks like we're going there, and if we land and go, okay, you know what, things are a little weirder than we thought, we can grab Grull. Or we can just move on.
What do you think?
Yes.
Very good. Rebuttal to what Aaron said, gentlemen?
Well, first of all, distance-wise, what is that?